We're very pleased to have on the programme one of Britain's most renowned historians, Dr David Bonkers. Over the years, Dr Bonkers has been something of a lone voice in certain aspects of historical revisionism. Last year, his symposium of why the Egyptian civilization had never existed attracted equal amounts of scepticism and confusion, but it has to be said very little acceptance of the mainstream field of historical research. Turning to you now, Dr Bonkers, would you say that's true?
Good evening, Brian. No, there wasn't a great deal of support at first, but there will come a time when the idea of a flourishing Nile Delta civilization will be readily accepted as a myth, in the same way that my once derided theory that Hitler was once head chef at the Savoy in the 1920s is now gaining traction, or that Robert Walpole remains Prime Minister.
Yes, Dr Bonkers, I must just pick you up on a few points there. You say that you hope that your claim that the Egyptian civilization was a myth will one day be as accepted as your claim that Hitler was once head chef. It must be said that these views are wholly unsubstantiated, with one of your former colleagues discrediting your work as flights of fancy. What do you say to that?
Well, my so-called peers have, it is regrettable to say, been lacking in vision for the last 20 years now. There are too many sacred cows for them. If they deny my findings, then I must sadly conclude that they too are victims of entrenched thinking. For example, people point to the pyramids as proof of Egyptian civilization, but of course they were merely a late 19th century advertising hoarding that got out of hand. As for Hitler, it is beyond doubt. He was a talented chef and inventor of the 12-cheese omelette.
Leaving that to one side now, Dr Bonkers, your theory that Robert Walpole is still Prime Minister. You don't disagree that Robert Walpole died in the 18th century?
Of course Mr. Walpole isn't dead, Brian. If you've read my book, From Walpole to Walpole, you'll know that the change from Julian to Gregorian calendar in 1752, the British Empire lost not only 11 days, but due to an administrative error, we lost 250 years.
So what year is it?
The exact date is still classified, but I believe the year is 1763. Mr. Walpole slipped through a time vortex and is still in number 10. And since then, so-called prime ministers from Blair and Cameron to Disraeli and Palmerston have been surprised to see an irascible man in powdered wig sitting behind the desk. He asks them what they want, and they usually tell him they are the new PM. He shakes his head, waves them into another room, telling them to put the kettle on.
Why can't they get rid of him?
He refuses to resign.
Thank you, David.
Faces of the world.